That's it. Look how heavy it is. Look at that. It's a massive thing. And I have to learn how to play a lot of it. Most of it I've been playing a lot of these riffs and ideas for a long time now, so anyway.
How does it feel to hold it?
Weird. Really weird. Not like it's not in my head, anymore. And like the very like physical weight of it is like, oh my gosh, that's in my heart. Oh, deep calls unto deep at the sound of your waterfalls and cataracts. All your breakers have washed over me. So the title comes out of a biblical text, Psalm 42. The psalm is actually very sad and tragic in its tone through quite a lot of it. And this verse pops up, sort of swells with ambiguity and poetic force and power, and talking about things that all of us can understand, even though we don't quite know how to put it into words. Deep Unto Deep is a multimedia exploration on the themes of transcendence, transformation, and the role of the imagination and spirit in the human quest for meaning in the face of the human condition and infinite distances, as well as distant resonances. Yeah, this is actually a really cool question because the collaborators, that idea has slowly grown over the course of putting this project together. The quartet that played my first string quartet, the Altius, is going to be at the show. They have agreed to play 2 new pieces, Sound of Many Waters, Above the Sky, and Apocatastasis. And then there's my magnificent chamber orchestra group featuring guitar players, winds, strings, drums and percussion, piano. In the way of art, I'm very excited to be working with Daniel Garrison, who is this highly poetic aerial dancer. The way that she approaches the medium of being stuck in the air somewhere between the earth and the sky is about allegory almost. I have 2 highly talented film students, Tim Novak and Laura Walter, who are collaborating on this film as well as the beautiful images that we'll be showing during the show. And then there's the entirely technological facet of the show. JP Mertz is going to be overseeing the piano EBO reverb connections that are going to be happening through the show. Abhishek Narula is the engineer who's built the EBOs for the show. Hugh LaBelle has designed a really great musical software called the Sound and Design Platform. He'll be utilizing his software to do really crazy things with my guitar sounds, as well as actually integrating some other sounds that are a major point of departure for the show as well, which are the sounds of space that NASA has released, and also the sounds that NOAA has released. There's a couple of sounds that I'm specifically interested in using from NASA, and one is the sound of the Earth's aurora, and then the sounds of Saturn and Jupiter. NOAA, on the other hand, has provided some very interesting sounds from under the ocean. There's 2 of these that are especially interesting to me for the show, and one is called the bloop. And then the other sound is this one that's been dubbed the train. The train, to me, sounds like a bunch of Gregorian monks caught at the bottom of the ocean singing. It's just this really odd, haunted choir kind of sound that I just am very drawn to. Those 5 sounds are in dialogue throughout the Requiem and throughout the course of the show to develop a heaven and earth kind of interplay. The show begins with a place of serenity and the slow exploration of a place of contingency against that transcendence with the sound of many waters above the sky, where the polarity of eternity or infinity is put up against the profile of change and human longing, and these two things have this delicate dance. The heart of the show is this requiem that I've been wanting to write over 10 years now. I finally settled on the title Requiem for Exiled Resonant Bodies because it really seemed to crystallize the meaning of the show. Simultaneities, existing together and sometimes influencing one another and other times moving different directions. That kind of musical approach persists through most of the show. The Requiem takes human brokenness and chaos in the universe as its points of departure. So the basic shifts of the music through the Requiem are downward. This is very strongly signaled by a couple of cues. At the end of the Kyrie, Danielle will come out and be a kind of demonic hypostasis, and she's going to hypnotize the guitar player Eric and detune the strings while he's trying to continue to play. And in this, I'm symbolizing dissolution, disintegration, corruption, an expression of our state as humans, with being unable in many ways to redeem ourselves with the world. And what I pair this with is a liturgical prayer of the second movement, which is the De Profundis, which is out of the depths I cry to you. The De Profundis moves then from this sort of fractured place and continues this descent downward until we get to the Dies Irae, where there's a cataclysm. The music gets at its lowest point at the end of the Dies Irae. And then from there, the Liber Me comes in, and after a couple minutes of tonal ambiguity, begins to settle into a place where the music is rising. It does get to sort of an exultant place at the end, with the cry to free me. The subtitle for Liber Me is "We Are the Dust of Stars." And so again, it's the idea of distant resonances, and that when we die, our dust is released into the world, and we may wind up in a star again in another millennia or so. At the end of the Liber Me, there is a restoration of the detuned gesture that occurred in the Kyrie to symbolize my guarded optimism and for the hope that some measure of restoration and redemption is possible while we search for meaning here on earth.